can't make coffee. Gosh. Whew. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back. Maybe you guys should welcome me back at this point, hey. I know, it's been a while, but if you've really been following me, then you know I've been active on TikTok. And it is literally and completely because it's just easier to use that platform instead of YouTube. But God has been convicting me to come and share my story, because I think for a minute I kind of was going through a thing of like, God, like, who am I and how do I show up? What do I share? You know, I guess I was struggling a bit with like the vision for the channel. And God just reminded me, and this isn't the first time he has, but for some reason I'm forgetful. He's like, the whole point is just to share your story. So here we go. I'm gonna share with y'all in a pure story time mode what's kind of been happening from like 2021 to now. Here's the purpose of it. There are some key like testimonies that I think will bless you, and you can take from it what you will. I've worked 2 different jobs in the past 2 years. As of now, I'm studying again. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Honestly, like, my motive has always been that I wanted to see the world through my education. And so now I'm studying at Oxford. I'm doing a master's in diplomatic studies. And can I just say I love this city? Like, this is the 3rd country I've been to for school, but this is the first time where there's not like one campus for a university. The whole city is the campus. So at first when I got my like study schedule, my class schedule, it was only like 1 to 2 lectures a day, except on Mondays where we have evening guest lectures. And I was like, oh gosh, like, this is pretty simple, like this is gonna be fine. Oh no. I had to put on makeup because of how tired I am. Like, Oxford is a whole nother world and I love it. How I got here though started 2 years ago. So let's go back. All right, so when I first came out of uni in Korea, I intentionally just didn't want to apply for for jobs right away, because I was really exhausted. I'd kind of just been going up until that year. And I told my family, I need 3 months to myself. So for 3 months, I didn't touch an application. I didn't do anything. And then by January, I was like, okay, I'm itchy now. I need to start applying for jobs. So I applied both back home in the Bahamas and abroad. To give you background, like, my educational background is political science, international development studies. At that point, I had added on public policy. So it's very much like government, public sector, but also international organization type stuff. And it's so crazy how God works, because I was applying to the UN and doing so very boldly, because I did not have 2 years of work experience and I still was applying. And it's so crazy because as weeks went on, I got this heaviness from God to just stop applying. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what do you mean stop applying for jobs? Like, I should continue right until I hear something back. And it had been just a couple weeks. But every time I would try to go and do a job application, it literally was a conviction. It was like, and I just remember being to the computer and just the thought of, you don't trust me. Like, I'm trying to show you something right now and you're ignoring like what I'm trying to do. So I vividly remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and I always tell her to this day that she spoke prophetically to me, because she was like, just like, I'm not even worried about you. Like, I know a job is gonna come. And the way that she said it just assured me, because at the time I was working at my aunt's place, literally just to clean her house. So on Saturdays I would go and I would clean her place. And as I'm sweeping and I'm like getting stressed out, and I just habitually would always put on worship while I'm like cleaning. Child, listen to me. When that thing say higher as in heaven, or whatever that song said, the broom is on this hand. I was just all over the place, just worshiping. And I came to myself and I was like, you know what, God, I don't have a job yet, but like, I trust you. Like, I don't know, I'm just feeling like I trust you. So Fast forward maybe a week or two later, my dad was always telling me for forever that I needed to submit one job application to this one place, and I was like, no, Dad, like I'm not doing that. Well, then nothing was wrong with the place, but I just kind of felt like that's not the way to apply. I don't know. So for weeks I just didn't do it, and then again it comes to me, and it was a matter of obedience. Like these little convictions, y'all, pay attention to the little convictions. And it was like, no, like you need to obey your dad. And I told God, I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, not even because I want to do it, but because like I wanted, when my dad asked me about it, I can finally tell him yes. Okay, I submitted it. So I drafted the letter, attached my my resume, and I go to drop my sister to where she was going, and on the way I stopped to drop this thing off. So by the time I park, it doesn't take me long, the building's so small, by the time I park, go inside to just drop it, they didn't ask me no long questions, I drop my mail, and then I come back in the car, I go to my phone and I see a missed call in between the minute and a half that I was out. So I'm calling and I'm like, oh, they're like, I'm like, hi, yeah, I got a call from here. They're like, oh, well, we're just the switchboard. We can't tell you who called you. You're gonna just have to hope that they call you back. So I'm driving and I'm like, God, if that was a job, like put it on their heart to call me back. And sure enough, by the end of that day, I got a call from a very senior person in that place who I've never met in my life. Like to this day, I still don't know how they even heard about me. But they basically invited me for an interview that led to 2 or 3 more interviews, and then by the end of the week I was hired. So in the first week of that job, a lady that I had met, she recognized me from like just my broader family, and she was like, oh man, you've grown up so much, and da 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 da, and that, okay. And then we were talking about a career, and she was like, well, I know you studied what you studied, but like, what do you want to show up in the world as? Like, what's your angle? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, you know, your degrees are so broad, which I knew. So she was like, it might be good to figure that out. Like, are you an economist? Are you a lawyer? You know, are you a policy expert? What is it? So then she tells me, and she's like, you know what? And this is just my first week of working at this place. She's like, have you ever considered this program? It's like a diplomatic program at Oxford. I'm like, no, never heard of it. She's like, well, I'll send you the link. You can look through, see if it appeals to you, and apply. I'm like, okay, cool. That was the first email I ever received like while at work. My first work email was a link to the program that I'm standing in today. And I remember reading through and was just so impressed and so excited about the description. And I was like, man, like this would be such a great program. But it's Oxford. So I was like, oh, you know, you're starting to get hot. I also noticed now, keep in mind, this is summer of 2021, and I was on a 2-year contract. So the only time I would have available to even do this program would have been 2023. So I'm like, you know what, Jazz, just keep it like in your pocket. When it's time, start researching more into this, along with other law schools. So I already knew that I was going to apply to law schools, and then also apply to this and just see where it goes. So for 2 years, I worked on my application. I worked on my achievement application. I worked on, you know, just talking with lawyers, getting their advice. And I started my actual application in 2022. And my goal was, I even had like a time, I'm very organized, y'all. I even had like a timeline of when the application would open for each school, which is about a year in advance before the actual program starts. So by fall of 2022, I had submitted all my applications to every school. And I just needed to wait a few months to see the results. Let me tell you about this Oxford one. When I opened the application portal, it was so tedious looking that twice I almost gave up. And I remember sitting and like looking at the laptop and doing a deep breath like I did just now and being like, God, like, is it even worth it, you know, doing this? Because I don't even know if I'll get in. And it's so crazy how God moves in the whisper. Because the thought that came to mind and that kept coming to mind was, if you don't apply to this program, you can't even say that you gave yourself a chance. You would never know. Open every door that you have the ability to open, and then ask God to close the ones He doesn't want you to go through. That was basically the mindset. So from beginning to end, this is my advice to you. prayer was a non-stop. And I'm not talking religious where I'm hyping up. I'm literally talking, I'm doing applications. I'm like, God, if this is not for me, close the door. God, I'm trying to figure out if this school or this program is right. Like, just show me, like, lead me, guide me, take my hand and help me with this. And whatever I learned from him is that as you have that heart posture and that prayer posture, as life and time evolves and goes on, he begins to do just that. So I'll give you a perfect example of how he closed the door. When I was still applying for schools and seeing that way, but obviously in the waiting game, another opportunity at a new place came up for work. And I was done at the place that I was at, y'all. It was just not like conducive to my future, and I was like, I'm not staying here regardless. So I applied and everything went well. The first interview went well. They came back for the second interview, they booked it, and then literally the night before at like 8 o'clock, I'm just heading to bed and my phone goes ding, and when I look at it, it's a cancellation, and there's like a status update that says, hi, Ms. Ajib, your interview is postponed until further notice. So I'm confused, and I'm like, how you could come the night before, not even like working day before, you come 8 o'clock before the morning interview to tell me it's postponed until further notice. What do I do with that? And to this day, I've never heard from them. And I remember the next day I smiled. No, not even the next day. That night on my bed, I smiled. Mind you, I've already experienced enough of God in my life to be able to hint him out. And I said, oh God, look how you done closed that door. So I was cool. I was disappointed because I thought it would be a great opportunity. But now look in hindsight. All the while, God had Oxford as his plan for me. I can't even compare that place to where I'm at. So this is a thing of trusting God's no. Literally, y'all, trust his no, trust his closed door. Fast forward. So law applications are in. I'm starting to get some feedback, and to give you context, I applied to LSE and to King's. But I applied for a master's of law, again, boldly, because I don't even have an LLB. I have no background education-wise in law. Just to give you a lesson or some advice there, I didn't get into either school. And here's why. It's because of one word. The word and. The Bible says the pride comes before a fall. And sometimes pride isn't this like evil, like, ooh, I'm walking around like, ooh, I'm prideful. Sometimes it comes as like a small measure of it, like a subtle kind of note of pride in our heart, where I was so desperate to get my applications right and perfect and done well and on time and like know what I'm doing and like control the situation, that as much times as I had read those program descriptions for LSE, for King's, for all the school, I missed out on one word that meant the difference between getting into the program and not. I'll like flesh it out for you. So like I said, I was applying for a Master of Laws program. I'm new to applications. I don't even really understand, what law school looks like. So I'm thinking I'll just apply to what I think I can get into. And my reference, she emails me because she was the one writing my reference for this program. And she's like, hey Jazz, yeah, I'm sure enough happy to do it, but are you sure you qualify for this program? So as I'm reading the email, I'm answering her in my head. I'm like, yeah, of course, I've already read it. I qualify. And then she goes on, and she's very detail oriented. So she like copies and pastes the program description, and she bolds the word and. Basically what it was saying was, you can qualify into this program if you have a very good degree with very good grades and at least a postgraduate diploma in law. I read or. For months of researching these programs, looking at these things over and over and over again, what I read was a very good degree with very good grades, which I had, or a postgraduate diploma in law. So at the end of the email, she's like, I'm happy to be a reference, but I just don't know if this is the program for you. Okay, well, at this point, I'm like, you're so right. I'm so sorry. She laughs with me. She's like, but in our classes, I always made sure to tell you guys details. And I'm like, anyway, I'll just apply regardless. I'm in faith, right? I'm like, I'm just going to apply regardless. And when they came back to me with a no, they explained why. Both schools, they were like, you don't qualify, you don't have an LLB and all those. So I think that's the lesson there. Like, I was so caught up in my own stream and in my own efforts that measure of pride blinded me from one word that made all the difference. And so I think if we can just rest more in the dependence of God and in relying on him, he would be the one to shave off the scales and say, oh, look at that word. No. Lesson learned. So now I realize, okay, I can't go for a Master of Laws because in order for me to even practice as a lawyer, I need to either take the solicitor exam or the barrister exam, the bar. So in order to do that, I either need to have an LLB or this postgraduate diploma in law. So I'm like, well, I'm not spending no 3 years in school, so I'm going for the GDL. As I'm applying to the schools, only certain schools, universities themselves don't actually normally offer it as a program. Some do, but very few do. So I'm basically applying to all the ones that do. And I get in. March comes of 2022. I have all my offers now. Still haven't heard from Oxford, to be honest, and I'm meaning this so authentically. I genuinely forgot about the application because I had applied a whole year before, so I just forgot about it, to be honest. And it was a Monday. And again, prayer. I had to decide. I told myself, Jazz, I'm gonna give me a week to decide which law school I'm going to. I have to decide by Friday. So I'm gonna pray. And I pray through that week and I'm like, God, just show me, just guide me as I'm making these decisions. And what that looks like is as I'm going through again the offers and the programs and the tuition fees and where I would study and what that would look like, I'm praying through it. Literally looking at apartments like, God, is this the right one? If there's a better one, let me know. And just trusting him. So stepping away from it, giving him space to speak if he wants to speak, whether that's while I'm in the shower or in my, just alone time with him, or maybe the next day something does come up and it's like an obvious no, an obvious yes. That's happened in my life. And that Wednesday, I walk in the hallway and thing comes on my phone and I look and it's an email from Oxford and it says, we are pleased. It was the word pleased and then it was the word offer. We are pleased to offer you a place. And when I say my face gone red, I was like, wait, I'm sorry, wait. I pause, read it again. Okay, yes, this is from Oxford. Okay, how do you spell my name? It is Jasmine Ajib. Okay, go again. We are pleased to offer you. It was the most surreal moment. They're an Ivy League school, what? So I message my good mother. I go in my family group chat and I just scream in the group chat. I'm like, I got into Oxford, huh? And my family's just, oh my god. My mom's like, so I'm like, but mom, what about the law schools? She's like, girl, you can do that afterwards. You're going to Oxford. And I was like, you're right. So I just stood there stunned because I'm like, God, what? After I process, I defer my law school offers for the next academic year, which will now be next year. And I accepted it. When I say I accepted that faster than I don't know what, do you remember in my video about how I got to South Korea, I talked about what it looked like after I got the acceptance from the school? That it wasn't smooth, that it was, the very opposite of it. Well, I learned in this season of my life that very much traumatized me because something as simple, well, I don't know if it's simple, but something as straightforward, I don't even know if it's, anyway, the visa process that should have been completely fine for me because I had everything that I needed for it. It felt like a mountain. And it was because in the back of my mind, everything I went through with my visa for Korea was popping up of this anxiety of, am I sure everything's right? But what if they, literally I remember going to my mom, calling her but what if the address they're looking for is it the address of the actual university or the address of my college or the address of where my classes are, because they're all different addresses, and what if they'll reject it because it's not the right address? I was just freaking out over the smallest stuff and just a bunch of back and forth. So much so, let me tell you how much I freaked out. I did the whole application the first time, realized that I wanted to switch my biometric appointment to a different country and withdrew it, and I'm still waiting for that refund, and then started over again. Just simple mistakes that I made out of my own anxiety, and that's the second lesson. Yes, we have trauma, yes, those things pop up. Therapy is necessary. Getting through, overcoming is necessary. But I had to learn, because you're gonna love how the story ends or turned out. I had to learn how to not give my previous traumas present power over me. To say, God, you are stronger than that. And the same way you worked that out, it wasn't like you didn't. Then I declare that in this season you will do the same. So guide me. And I'm not going to let anxiety tempt me to do more, because I might mess this up. So help me to just sit back. If there's more to do, let me do that with a clear, sober mind. If there isn't, let me just trust. I would have not been right now waiting for a refund from my first application if I had just trusted and waited, because I'm such a person who's like impatient. I'm like, I don't want to wait 2 weeks and 3 weeks to figure it out. I want to know now, where do I submit this, and So I still end up submitting the thing from home, and that freaked me out because I had heard nothing good about that process. I'm freaking out. It's genuinely making me lose sleep. The letter they give you says, okay, we now have your biometrics. Here are the next steps. You will continue to get a series of emails from us. You'll get the first one when we've submitted it to the US, because they actually still submit it through the US. You get an email when they're overlooking the documents. You will get an email when the decision comes. So my appointment was a Thursday. So I'm like, okay, no email on Friday, that's completely fine. Y'all probably still, getting some visas, I understand that. Saturday, Sunday, I'm like, okay, no email, that's fine, that's a weekend. Monday, I'm like, okay, I'll wait till end of day. Tuesday, I'm like, well, I'm not getting no emails. Have y'all not submitted this thing? Wednesday come, and I'm like, okay, God, like now I'm really starting to freak out. Trauma is screaming in my mind, like what's going on? I'm getting no emails, right? It's already almost now the end of the first week. When Thursday comes, to this day, because when I got the call, the tab was still open. I was looking for contact numbers for different offices to call these people to figure out what's going on. Thursday comes, exactly 1 week later, and I get a call. And it was an unsaved number. I already don't be answering no unsaved numbers all the time. I said, hello? He said, hi, yeah, this is Jasmine Ajib. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, this is FedEx. I only expected one thing from FedEx. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, a package for you. So I'm like, it's only been exactly a week. How is it so early? And I ain't get no email yet. And he's like, and he describes my house to me because he's there. He's like, is anyone else home? I'm like, yeah. Like, I think I have my brother home. He's like, well, could you call them and see if they can come outside for it? I'm like, yes. So call my brother. I'm like, stay on the phone. Go get that package for me. And I want you to open it. Like open it. Put on your video. So he gets it, and the first thing he comes up with is a SIM card. And he's like, Jazz, this is a good sign, because when he got his visa for the US, it came with a SIM card. I'm like, yeah, put it aside, open the passport. So he's opening it, and I'm literally like, my heart, y'all, because a million thoughts are in my head. Why are they sending it so soon? Did it get rejected? What's going on? And my heart's going fast, and he's like, I don't know, I'm not saying anything. And I'm like, keep going. And then he goes, wait, Jazz, no, I see it. Yeah, it's your visa. I'm like, what? To this day, I haven't received one email from these people. But between Thursday and the next Thursday, they had done sent my stuff back to the US, overlooked it, in order for them, because they said it takes 2 to 3 days to ship, in order for them to even ship it on time, it meant they approved it the same moment they reviewed it, just stamp approve and go through. I sat there in my office because I had about 2-3 weeks left before the flight. And I dwelled in the goodness of my God. Because I said, you saw how much this was taking my sleep and how much I was battling the trauma of the past when it comes to visa. No one else understood it. Everyone's asking me, why are you freaking out? It's nothing. And I can't stop but be anxious. I said, you did this for me. You did this so I could enjoy the process to the day that I, leave to come to the UK. Because I was telling friends before that, I said, for me, even being excited about this opportunity is a measure of faith. It takes faith for me to be excited. Because in the back of my mind, the wildest possibilities are coming up as to why something might go wrong. And I think that's why I talk about, as much as God will correct us and prune us and discipline us, He is such a good father that he will soothe you and comfort you in a way that you could have never done for yourself, and in a way that no one could do for you. And so here I am at arguably the world's best university, with a scholarship that's a whole nother testimony, with needs met, and God saying, my plan and will for you are always good, even if I ask you to step back, which he has before, even if I take some things from you, which he has before, even if I close a door that you wanted, which he has before. But like I say, and I've always said this in all my videos, if you take what God gives you in return for what he asks for, you don't even want what that was. You know, and I don't mean to make this a prosperity message of it's always going to be the best car and the best school and, you know, the best of this. I do mean to say, though, that in other periods of my life where maybe he took a romantic relationship from me, what I got in return was a wholeness that I was missing out while being with that person. So even just in the intangible sense, what he gives you in return from what he takes. You know, there's a scripture, and I'll put it here because I don't exactly remember the words verbatim, but essentially what it says is that he's the gardener, right? And he prunes away the things that are dead and therefore no longer useful. Like, that's what we would do in a natural sense when we're pruning our garden. If we see dead things around it, we cut it off. Or if we see things that are choking the very life of the plant, we cut it off. And so, yeah, I'm sure it might hurt when the scissors come and cut, but you'll heal. Not only is he gardener, he's healer. He's father, he's refuge, he's fortress. He's wisdom, he's love, he's joy, he's peace. Like, he's protector, he's provider, he's corrector. He's God. And that's the message I want to leave with you guys today.